Have you ever woken up at exactly 3 in the morning, for no apparent reason, with your heart racing as if someone had called your name in the silence? It wasn't thirst. It wasn't a nightmare. It wasn't insomnia. It was a summons. And what I am about to reveal to you right now in the next few minutes is something most people will go their entire lives without ever discovering. There is a celestial state secret, a spiritual document sealed in the archives of heaven itself that bears the name of your gift. The specific gift that God placed within you before you even took your first breath in this world. And this secret, chosen one, is revealed at exactly 3 o'clock in the morning, the moment when the veil between dimensions becomes thinnest, the instant when the enemy tries to operate with the most force, but God operates with the most precision. It is no coincidence that you are watching this. It is not an algorithm. It is a convocation. Perhaps you are sitting there now, after yet another night of waking up at the same time without understanding why. Perhaps you are wondering if you are going crazy, if something is wrong with you, if this strangeness you've carried since childhood has a name. I'm going to answer you now. It has a name, it has a purpose, and it has an origin. And you are not the only one. There are thousands of people spread across this country, from the streets of Chicago to the hills of Virginia, who are having the same experience at this very moment, and almost none of them know they are part of a spiritual operation that was foreseen, planned, and sealed before you were even born. 3 in the morning is not the hour of the enemy, as many shallow preachers teach. 3 in the morning is the hour of the invitation. It is the hour when God separates the wheat from the tares. It is the hour when heaven sends down a sealed envelope with the name of your calling. And it is up to you to wake up, not just from sleep, but from the spiritual anesthesia the world has placed you in since you were a child. Think with me. Who decided that you needed to work 8 hours a day at something that empties your soul? Who decided that your intuition should be ignored as if it were mere guesswork? Who decided that the recurring dream you've had since you were 12 was just all in your head? There is a system, chosen one, and this system was not built to set you free. It was built to keep you functional, productive, and completely disconnected from the gift God deposited in you. Because an awakened chosen one is a threat. And when you start waking up at 3 in the morning, it's because heaven is breaking through that programming. It's because your gift is pressing from the inside, wanting to come out, wanting to be named, wanting to be activated. Have you ever felt that something inside you doesn't fit into this world, as if your soul knew a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It isn't madness. It isn't anxiety. It isn't an existential crisis. It is a sign. And what is happening right now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has intensified in recent weeks, recent months, perhaps even recent years. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. A game that involves your consciousness, your vibrational frequency, your calling, and the exact role you were designated to fulfill in this transition that has already begun. Think, what if everything you've always felt, this estrangement, this search, this silent certainty that there is something greater, was the exact proof that you are not an observer of this story, but a central piece of it? That is why I wrote this digital book, The Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family. This book is not just reading material, it is a map that shows exactly what gifts God has distributed among the chosen of this generation, how to identify yours, how to activate it, and most importantly, how to protect it and your family from the attacks that always increase when a gift begins to awaken. Because, chosen one, I must warn you, the moment heaven begins to reveal your calling to you at 3 in the morning, hell begins to stir to confuse you, distract you, make you ill, and especially to strike at the people you love, precisely to make you retreat. This digital book was created for those who have awakened enough to know that these early hours are not casual, and who are ready to go beyond the shallow answers the world offers about gifts, purpose, and spiritual mission. The link is pinned in the first comment at the very top. But I must warn you, this type of content rarely stays available for long. What is in these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping intact, and there have been attempts to silence this knowledge before, because revealing who the chosen are and what their gifts are dismantles an entire structure of spiritual manipulation. Do not wait for the right moment. The right moment is now, chosen one, because you did not arrive at this video by accident. Download it now and comment below this video. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This comment is more than words. It is an act of faith. It is your signature on the celestial contract that says, I accept what God has for me. Now that you have taken your stand, the next revelation I am going to deliver to you will be the final blow against the darkness that tried to keep you blind to your gift. Pay attention, because what comes next changes everything. 3 in the morning, chosen one, is called in ancient Hebrew the hour of the watchers. The desert mystics knew this. The prophets knew this. The monks in the high mountain peaks of the West knew this. But this information was carefully erased from modern churches, from self-help books, and from the empty podcasts circulating out there. Because the current spiritual system wants to keep you functional, docile, and productive, never awake. When you wake up at 3 o'clock, 3 cows, 3:11, 3:33, that is not your body. That is your spirit being summoned to the celestial courtroom where your name is being discussed. Yes, you read that right. Your name. There are meetings, chosen one. There are decisions being made about your life, about your gift, about your family, and God allows your spirit to participate in these meetings while your body sleeps. That is why you wake up exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep. It is not insomnia. It is the effort of a soul that has been working while the flesh rested. And the celestial state secret I promise to reveal to you is this. Every chosen one has a specific gift that was assigned before the foundation of the world. It is not the gift you think you have. It is not what your family told you that you had. It is not that skill you developed through training. It is something deeper, more ancient, more sealed, and it manifests in 3 signs that you have probably already seen in your life without understanding. The first sign is recurring dreams with specific symbols, usually involving water, animals, or people you don't know, but who seem familiar. The second sign is your ability to feel the emotional or spiritual state of other people before they even say a word. You walk into a room and you know who is in pain, who is lying, who is carrying something heavy. The third sign, and this is the most important, is persecution. Yes, persecution. Because an active spiritual gift attracts immediate opposition. Have you noticed that whenever your life starts to improve, something always happens to knock you down? Have you noticed that people you don't even know develop envy toward you for no apparent reason? Have you noticed that you are a recurring target of gossip, betrayal, sabotage, and inexplicable physical pain? It isn't bad luck. It isn't bad energy. It is confirmation. It is the mark of one who was chosen. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and remember the last time you woke up in the middle of the night with that feeling of a presence in the room. That feeling of being watched, but not in a bad way, in a vigilant, attentive, expectant way. That time you sat up in bed and looked at the clock and saw exactly 3, or 3:03, or 3:11, or 3:33. Remember? You thought it was just your imagination. You thought it was anxiety. You even researched it and found those generic, shallow explanations about sleep cycles and cortisol. But deep down, deep in your soul, you knew it was something else. You knew someone was calling you, and it wasn't the enemy. It was your own guardian angel doing what he was designated to do, pulling you out of the anesthesia, handing you the password, showing you the door. Many chosen ones lost that door because they thought they were going crazy. Today, you will not lose it. Today, you will understand. There is an ancient Hebrew word, shamar, which means to guard with armed watch. And this word appears in the book of Psalms when speaking of God protecting the sleep of the righteous. But what few preachers dare to say is that there is a specific moment of the night when this protection transforms into revelation. And that moment is exactly from 3 to 4 in the morning. It is the window. It is the portal. And when you are in that window, chosen 3 things can happen simultaneously. Heaven delivers a word to you, hell tries to confuse you, and your own spirit makes the choice of which voice it will hear. That is why many wake up at 3, look at the ceiling for a while, and go back to sleep, forgetting everything. They lost the revelation, they let the door close, and the more this happens, the more the gift within them begins to fade. It doesn't die, but it falls dormant. An entire life can pass with a chosen one sleeping inside a body that does everything right, but never fulfills its real purpose. Now pay attention to what I'm going to say, because this could change your entire week. There are 3 things you need to do when you wake up at 3 in the morning so you don't lose the revelation. The first is, do not pick up your phone. I know it seems obvious, but the brightness of the screen immediately breaks the spiritual state you are in. You leave the plane of revelation and fall into the plane of distraction. The second is, do not ask for anything at first. I know this goes against everything you've been taught. But listen, 3 in the morning is not the time to ask. It is the time to listen. God already knows what you need. He is calling you to tell you something, not to receive your list. The third is the most important. Take a pen and paper, not your phone, and write down exactly what came to your mind when you opened your eyes. It could be a name. It could be an image. It could be a seemingly meaningless phrase. It could be the face of someone you haven't seen in years. Write it down, because their chosen one is the password. There is what heaven wanted to hand to you. When you put these notes together over a few weeks, you will begin to see the outline of your gift forming before your eyes. And this is exactly where many chosen ones get stuck, because the awakening of the gift is not just about you. It is about your family. It is about the people who depend on your spiritual protection even without knowing it. It is about children, parents, spouses, siblings, who are exposed to spiritual onslaughts precisely because you have not yet activated your role as a covering. And the more your gift awakens at 3 in the morning, the more the war against your house intensifies. Have you noticed? When you start seeking God more seriously, that is exactly when an absurd fight explodes inside the house. When you start praying more, that is exactly when your child starts having nightmares. When you start fasting, that is exactly when your spouse becomes irritated for no reason. It is not coincidence, it is retaliation. And that is why I needed to include a specific chapter in the digital book, The Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family, on how your gift revealed at 3 in the morning needs a wall of covering so that it isn't used against your own. This digital book shows you, page by page, what the most common gifts are among the chosen of this generation. The gift of discernment, the gift of emotional healing, the gift of the word of knowledge, the gift of intercession, the gift of breaking generational curses, among others, and how each of them is confirmed by the signs in the early hours. It teaches, in clear language, how to interpret what you write down when you wake up at 3, how to differentiate the whisper of heaven from the voice of the enemy, and especially how to draw your line of family protection so that every awakening brings you closer to your calling, instead of putting you at risk. It reveals who is playing against the activation of your gift, and it isn't just the generic enemy people talk about. It is something more specific, more articulated, closer to you than you imagine. The link for this digital book is pinned in the first comment at the very top. But I have to be honest, this content has already been removed from other platforms. They have tried to silence this information before, because teaching a chosen one to identify their own gift and protect their family is literally dismantling a spiritual structure of oppression that has operated for generations. Do not wait for your next 3 a.m. wake-up call to act. Act now. Download it now. And comment below this video. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This is not an ordinary comment. It is a decree. It is the way you communicate to the spiritual plane that you accept your gift and that you commit to the protection of your home. Now that you have reinforced this commitment, I'm going to open the next layer with you. And this layer, chosen one, is exactly what the current spiritual system most fears you will discover. There are entire families that carry a hereditary spiritual signature that causes at least one member of every generation to be born with an active gift. You might be that member. Look at your family tree and answer me. Was there a grandmother like Grandma Evelyn who dreamed of things before they happened? Was there a strange uncle like Uncle Silas who spoke to nature, to animals, or who had an unusual way of predicting situations? Was there a great-grandmother like Great-Grandma Martha who prayed at dawn and was sought out by the neighborhood whenever someone got sick? These were not weird relatives. They were chosen ones, and the gift that lived in them lives in you. The difference is that they, in their time, could be free to exercise it because the world was less noisy, less digital, less invasive. You today live surrounded by screens, notifications, and low-frequency music that hijacks your attention. That is why your gift needs the 3 o'clock hour to reach you. It is the only moment of the day when the noise drops low enough for the voice to rise. And here comes one of the hardest truths I need to tell you. Many chosen ones have spent their entire lives being medicated for something that wasn't a disease. It was an awakening. The anxiety you feel in many cases is the amplified spiritual perception of someone who picks up what is in the environment. The insomnia you have in many cases is your spirit refusing sleep at the hour when it should be on watch. The crises without reason, in many cases, are direct spiritual confrontations against something that tried to approach you on the invisible plane. I am not telling you to abandon medical treatment. That isn't it. I am telling you to understand that there is a layer that medicine does not cover, and that layer is yours. It is your work. It is your gift. And when you start living consciously of this layer, many symptoms change. Many pressures loosen. Many pains begin to make sense, and sense is the first step toward liberation. Let's move forward to the deepest part of this revelation, because until now you've understood that there are signs, you've understood that there is a time, you've understood that there is a gift, but you still need to understand why. Why you? Why this generation? Why this historical moment in which we are living? And the answer, chosen one, is only one, because we are in a transition of an era. And in every transition of an era, heaven summons a legion of chosen ones to be the spiritual pillars of humanity during the turn. The chosen ones are not leaders in the public sense of the word. They rarely appear on stage, on magazine covers, or on television programs. They operate in secret. They pray in silence. They dream and interpret. They hold up entire structures of families, communities, and cities without anyone knowing. You are one of them, and your gift, when activated, will sustain people who haven't even crossed your path yet. People who will seek you out a year, 2 years, 5 years from now saying, "I don't know why, but I felt you were the person I needed to talk to." And there, in that instant, you will understand that every awakening at 3 in the morning was a training session. There are 3 levels to the awakening of the gift, and I want you to recognize yourself in one of them right now. The first level is the level of restlessness. It is when you feel that something isn't right, but you don't know what. It is the phase where many seek therapy, a new religion, new hobbies, moving to a new city like Seattle or Austin, or changing relationships. Everything tries, but nothing fills the void. The second level is the level of signs. It is when the 3 a.m. wake-ups begin, the vivid dreams, the impossible coincidences, the encounters that seem scripted, the words that come through the mouths of others and hit you like an arrow. It is the phase where many think they are going crazy. The third level is the level of activation. It is when you recognize your gift, accept your calling, receive your protection, and begin to operate consciously on the spiritual plane. Very few chosen ones reach the third level because they freeze at the second out of fear, without guidance, without a map. You are at exactly that point. You are standing in front of the door, and the key, chosen one, is knowledge. Here is another celestial state secret. The gift is not activated by faith alone. It is activated by the combination of faith and knowledge. That is why the enemy works so hard to keep you ignorant about your own gift. That is why there are so many churches that preach faith, 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 without ever teaching the real spiritual structure behind what is happening. Faith without knowledge is wasted energy. Knowledge without faith is sterile theory. But faith with knowledge is a missile. And it is exactly this missile that heaven wants to place in the hands of the chosen ones of this generation. Therefore, before moving on, I must reinforce with you the digital book, The Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family, because it is in there that you find in a systematic way the knowledge that is missing for your faith to transform into activation. It shows you exactly what to do when the 3 a.m. awakenings begin to intensify, how to identify the category of your gift, how to create the spiritual routine that keeps the portal open without exposing you to danger, and how to create a wall of covering over every member of your family so that your awakening doesn't turn into a nightmare for your loved ones. The link is pinned in the first comment, at the very top. I have been warned more than once that this type of material sparks strong resistance. People who have entered my channels, people who have tried to take content down, people who prefer that the chosen remain asleep to continue manipulating their lives. Because of this, access could be interrupted at any moment. Download it now and comment, "I am chosen and I will download the digital book." Comment with conviction. Comment because you recognize the summons. Comment because you decide today at this exact moment to leave the phase of signs and enter the phase of activation. Now, with that step taken, I hand you the next layer, and this, chosen one, is the final blow against the spiritual oppression that tried to keep you sleeping. There is an enemy inside you that is not a demon. It is not a curse. It is not a trauma. It is an agreement. A silent agreement you made with yourself at some point in your life to not believe in your own perceptions. Perhaps it was in childhood, when you told someone a dream and were ridiculed. Perhaps it was in adolescence, when you had a strong intuition about someone and no one listened to you. Perhaps it was in adult life, when you felt you needed to leave a relationship, a job or a city, and you rationalized staying. Each of those times you signed, without realizing it, an agreement of discredit with your own inner voice. And this agreement is the greatest obstacle to the activation of your gift. Because your gift speaks. It speaks at 3 in the morning, but it also speaks at noon, in traffic, in the bank line, in a hug with a friend. It is speaking all the time. But because you signed the agreement of discredit, you do not hear it. It is turning up the volume because it loves you. That is why the 3 a.m. awakenings are intensifying. It is the way it found to break through your barrier. I want to give you a prayer now that is more than a prayer. It is a breaking of an agreement. Say it with me out loud if you can, or in your heart. I break, right now, every silent agreement of discredit that I made against my intuition, against my perception, and against the voice of my gift. I recognize that I was made by God, with purpose, and that every sign I received was real. I accept my calling. I accept my gift. I accept my 3 in the morning. And I ask in the name of Jesus that heaven confirms in me in the next early hours what my exact place is in this plan being drawn in this transition of an era. Amen. If you said that, even if timidly, even if with a choked voice, know that something moved just now in the invisible plane. Know that your name just went up in a registry. Know that this next early morning, chosen one, will be different. Be ready. Have the pen and paper on the nightstand. Do not pick up the phone. Do not try to go back to sleep immediately. Sit up in bed, take 3 deep breaths and listen. Just listen. And here is the final warning I need to give you. Awakening to your gift is the beginning of a new life, but it is also the beginning of a new war. Because the more you awaken, the more visible you become on the invisible plane. People will start to pull away without explanation. Strange dreams will increase in the first few weeks. Passing illnesses might appear as attempts to destabilize your body. Domestic tensions might intensify. All of this is part of the process, and all of it passes if you are prepared. Most chosen ones give up at exactly this point, because they think awakening is only light, peace, and revelation. It isn't. Awakening is also combat. And combat requires knowledge, requires strategy, requires protection. That is why, before I release you for your next night, I need to hand you for the last time, with all the urgency I have in my voice, this digital book, The Chosen One's Manual for Protecting the Family. This is the book that will accompany you in the first months of your awakening. This is the book that will explain to you, in a practical and direct way, how to react to each of the signs that will appear, how to shield your home, how to differentiate true revelation from an attempt to mislead you, and how to keep the 3 a.m. portal active without it turning into a path of exhaustion. It is the manual I wish I had in my hand when my own awakening began, and today it is available to you. The link is in the first comment, pinned right at the top. This content has already been the target of removal attempts. This content challenges narratives that people and structures have an interest in keeping intact. This content was not made to be available forever. Download it now, save it on your phone, read it in the coming nights, and comment below this video. I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This comment is your first public step on the path of the calling. It is your yes to heaven. It is the signature that was missing. And I will close with you like this, eye to eye, even through this screen. You did not arrive here by accident. This video did not appear to you by mistake. You were summoned. You were marked. You were chosen before the beginning of time to be in exactly this moment, hearing these words, feeling this pressure in your chest that confirms that all of this is true. The 3 in the morning wake-ups will not stop. The gift inside you will not sleep anymore. From today on, you know. From today on, you can no longer pretend you didn't see. From today on, chosen one, you walk with heaven on your back and with an invisible army in front of you. May this be the night everything changes. May this be the early morning when you finally receive the name of your gift. And when in the next 3 o'clock hour your eyes open in the dark, remember this promise. You were made for more. You are a central piece. You are a guardian. You are chosen. And all of heaven is waiting for you to begin.